She's out of his life. She's out of his life. And he don't know whether to laugh or cry. For real. He don't know whether to live or die. And it cuts like a knife. Grandma Lily, she's out of his life. She's out of his hands. She's out of his hands. And to think for 8 months she was there. He took her for granted. He was so cavalier. And a prick and a douche. Now the way that it stands, he's out of her hands. Or she's out of his hands. All right, so my coach has been busy doing much of nothing, really. Is that right? Really doing much of nothing. Did Megan really spend an entire video, an entire 30 minutes or so, talking about why or how they named the camper, that raggedy old camper that they disregarded, that they neglected for years? That raggedy old camper that they had 5 human beings crammed into. Megan spent about 30 minutes explaining to us why or how they named that raggedy old camper. She explained to us why they snatched the Resurrection Ranch away from Grandma Lily, or why Grandma Lily excluded herself, why Grandma Lily distanced herself from the Resurrection Ranch. Is that right? Did she explain to us why Tim decided that the show must go on? Did he decide that he had to implement a certain amount of innovation and try to keep this Resurrection Ranch thing going, considering that Resurrection Ranch had greater viewership than the flagship IAG Farms video? Tim figured out how he could be innovative and keep it going. Is that right? And so somehow they shifted the Resurrection Ranch from an actual plot of land, the actual land out there at the Woodlands property. They shifted the Resurrection Ranch from the Woodlands property back to the IAG property. Is that right? And so they decided to call the camper the Resurrection Ranch. And they said, well, no, that's not going to do it. Our viewers are not, our heavy Tim followers, they're not going to go for that. That's a little bit goofy. And so let's shift it a little bit further. Rather than calling the camper the Resurrection Ranch, let's call the camper Resurrection Camper. Is that right? And I guess they gave the nickname of RC. They said, rather than us stumbling over this tongue twister calling it Resurrection Camper, let's just call it RC. Because you know how we like to worship false idols. We like to name our inanimate objects. We like to name our equipment. And so they say, we're going to call it RC. And I guess they must have thought about that for a couple of days and said, well, that's a bit goofy as well. Okay, and so now considering that we're calling this goofy home-based business, we're calling it Resurrection Campers, LLC, then it doesn't make sense for us to call this camper Resurrection Camper, considering the fact that we were supposedly going to give it away to a needy family, or we're going to sell it to someone gullible enough to fork over the funds, or one of our heaviest of Tim followers. We don't know whether we're going to give it away or try to sell it or force it on someone. Never mind the fact that it's going to take a few $100s, at least on the low end, it's going to take a few $100s in order to get that camper up and get it worthy, get it suitable for human habitation. In habitation, it's going to take at least a few $100s. I'm thinking $400 or $500. In which case, if they're going to try to turn a profit, I guess they have to sell it for, I don't know, $600 or $700. I'm not sure who would sign up for that. So I'm assuming that maybe this will be the first donation that they've captured on film when they actually force someone to take this off of their hands. But okay, so she wasted all that time. She said, well, no, we're not going to go with RC because the business is actually called RC LLC. And so we're going to call this camper, this raggedy old camper, we're going to call it Happy Camper. Considering how many times, how much time has been spent in this camper, how much time, how many good times were had, how many happy times were had in this camper. by the roaches, the mice, the rats, the possum, the skunk, the snake. Considering how many happy times those animals and insects have had in this camper. We're going to call it Happy Camper. Forget about the fact that we neglected it. We pushed it down to the other end of our property and we shoved it full of junk. Okay, we shoved it full of donations and gifts. We crammed it full of junk and trash. We ignored it. We disregarded it. We abandoned it. Yes, we abandoned it. It wasn't abandoned randomly. We are the ones who actually abandoned it. Okay, and so we're going to try to resurrect or breathe new life into this camper. But she spent like 20-30 minutes describing why they gave this Happy Camper a name. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I do understand that Megan tried to structure it as some type of commercial, some type of sales commercial for that potential buyer. For that potential buyer or that potential recipient. I guess it was first they're going to target it toward potential buyers. Is that right? And Megan being the subpar salesperson that she is. Even though my coach, Tim, forced her in front of the camera and said, sell it. Megan did her best to try to sell it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Now, considering that it's a camper of sorts, other folks, well, we won't get into it. We'll leave that to the potential buyers, okay? The potential suspects, the potential victims / marks. We'll leave it to them. But good gracious, Tim talked about being innovative and having dry content. Talk about an entire video dedicated to the naming of a camper. And we're talking about the third name that the camper has had, I don't know, in the span of what, 2 weeks? I don't know. We're talking about the third video, and she dedicated an entire video to how they're going to name this camper. Talk about a stretch for content. Talk about a stretch. Now, why was it that Megan was standing 100 yards away from the camper? And she's like, look how beautiful it is. If you stand 100 yards away from it, a full football length away from the camper, it actually is beautiful. Okay, if you rub your eyes, and you squint your eyes heavily, then you'll see that it's a beautiful camper. Even though all we did to this point was clean out most of the junk that was on the interior. Some of which Tim, of course, continued to hoard. He just rehomed it someplace else. But considering that all we did was clean out the interior, we sprayed a little bit, vacuumed out some of the drawers, and then I guess Tim pressure washed the exterior. Considering that's all that we've done to this, it's already looking beautiful. I'm like, okay, what in the world will the steady Tim supporters fall for? What will they fall for? What won't they fall for? If you have to stand 100 yards away in order to claim that it's beautiful, then oh my goodness. Talk about stretching the reality. Talk about forcing an issue. Good gracious. But what else? What else in the world has he been up to? Oh yeah? Is that right? Okay, so he was talking about what happened when they were in the city and they were doing ministry work and they were offering food to some folks that showed up to the service. They were offering them food. And I guess they came to the realization that some of them were coming merely for the food. And of course, my coach, being who he is, he had a problem with that. Is that right? He had a problem with needy folks, with hungry folks coming to a church, a supposed church or a ministry, to get food. He had a problem with that? What kind of minister, what kind of pastor would have a problem with folks that are hungry coming to get food and trying to fill their bellies so they don't starve to death? Who would have a problem with that? Oh, okay, his ministry was not growing. He was hoping that he could use the food to entice his membership. Is that right? He was going to try to use the food as a carrot. Is that right? Okay, and so he was looking for folks to become steady members, steady followers at his Walk by Faith ministry. Is that right? And the numbers weren't adding up. Is that right? Okay, and so he, at some point, I guess he cut it off. He said, I'm not getting the return. I'm not getting the return on the food. Okay? Forget about the fact that it's supposed to be charitable. I'm supposed to be charitable. Forget about the fact that it's supposed to be a selfless act. If I don't see these folks joining my membership, joining my supposed ministry, if I don't see my membership numbers growing, I'm cutting you guys off. Oh my goodness. Why does that sound familiar? Why does it sound familiar? But he talked about the fact that with his, I guess with his IAG, when he cut off the comments, he saw some drop or some stagnation in his subscriber base. And he talks about some type of projection whereby even though it dropped by 30%, he plans to add on 200 to 1,000%. I'm like, okay, coach, we know you struggle. We do understand that you're handicapped. We do understand that you're disabled when it comes to the mathematics, coach. Okay. But thinking that you can drop off by 30% and you're going to add on another 200 to 1,000, it's laughable, coach. The numbers don't lie, coach. The numbers don't lie. Now, bear in mind, the numbers that us reactors are most interested in are the numbers that relate to the donations, the tips, the gifts, and the offerings. Okay, for the most part, we care less about your subscriber base. We care less about your views and the fact that your views have plummeted. We care less about it, coach. But if you want to convince some of your woeful Tim worshipers that your numbers have gone up in certain areas, so be it. I do remember the one time that you tried to claim that your numbers went up on IAG, they went up on Resurrection Ranch, and they went up on the P2P. Like, oh, no. Actually, the numbers have not gone up on the Resurrection Ranch. Let me correct that. And oh, by the way, no. The P2P Nodcast, no. We don't have great numbers there either. I'm really referring only to the IAG. I'm like, okay, coach. Do you even think about the tales before they come out of your mouth, coach? Okay. Do you think about the exaggerations, or do you just get out there and say, I'm going to say any and everything at this point? Okay. They'll believe me regardless of what I say. Okay. All right. Very few of my Ready Tim writers do any type of fact checking on me, but good gracious, coach. But all right. Have I missed anything? Anything else? Have I missed anything else? Oh, they moved the camper out to the farm. I already saw that part. And so they're talking about Resurrection Ranch is actually on IAG Farms. The ranch is on the farm. Is that right? Why did they not actually move that camper down to the Woodlands property? Considering that Tim and Megan owned that property, they could have parked the camper down there. And then it would have still have been at Resurrection Ranch. Okay? Why did they not do that? Why are they trying to bring it over to IAG and claim that there's still some mythical Resurrection Ranch? Okay? Oh, because it's more convenient for it to be parked right there. Is that right? Megan said that it's literally parked outside of her doorstep. Does she not? Now, Megan is the educated one of the household. Unfortunately, that includes the boys. When I talk about being educated, I'm not talking about just being high school or college educated. Megan is the only one that's educated within the household. Okay? Tim's GED education aside. Okay? We already know what types of holes he got in his GED education when apparently he was skipping classes while he was incarcerated. While he had nothing but spare time, apparently Tim was skipping class for his GED. Okay, but now Megan said that the camper was parked literally outside her. Does she understand what literally means? Has she been hanging around with my coach too long? Has this rhetoric and foolishness been rubbing off on her that heavily that she's forgotten that literally means actually? Okay, it does not mean that you have to walk 60, 70 yards to the camper. That does not mean literally outside of your doorstep. But okay. All right, so has he been up to anything? I mean, really, anything else? Nothing, really? Well, okay, all right. Before I get to my reaction to the recent IAG Farms video where Tim talks about, I guess he's talking about finishing off the barn build. And I'm like, okay, now, coach, okay, you're really building up the hype. You're really building it up, coach. Because when we talk about finishing off a barn, okay, coach, we're talking about having it sided, fully sided. There should be no exposed wood, coach. Okay? There should be no exposed sides, coach. There should be a functional door, a useful door. Okay? Not a door that's just there for appearance. Okay? And certainly, if it's going to be a barn, if you really committed, and obviously you're committed to this barn concept, if it is going to be a completed barn, we need to put up at least one additional wall, coach. We need at least 3 walls, coach. All right. And considering how you're jamming and cramming feed and other trash and tools and whatnot up into that area, it's really a bona fide shed at this point, Coach. It's a bona fide shed. Even though with a shed you probably need like 1.5 more walls. Okay. But okay. So before I get to that, I need to recognize you guys that have been active in the comments. Keep that commentary going. Keep that dialogue flowing both ways. And you Heavy Tim followers, get up in the comments, get up in there, do the wilding that you guys normally do. You know I look forward to you guys wilding, because when you're wilding, I'm digressing. Welcome back to the end game. Where today I'm going to give my reaction to the recent IAG Farms video where Tim talks about completing the barn, even though he claimed that he completed it about 2 months ago. About 2 months ago, when he finished off most of the siding, he said that it was complete. And then, I don't know, maybe a week or two after that, when he finished off most of the trim work, he said it was complete. And I'm like, okay, Coach, okay, here we go. It's been complete already 2 times, already twice. It's been complete. And I guess in this video, you're going to complete it even a 3rd time. Although I suspect by the conclusion of this video, it still will be incomplete. And I'm talking about an incomplete shed. I'm not talking about an incomplete barn. Okay, I've already given up hope that it will ever constitute a true barn. But I'm going to give my reaction to that video here. All right, early in the video, we noticed that Tim, he's pulled the raggedy old Excursion right up to the doorstep. Now, the Excursion is literally parked in front of the steps, okay? Okay, as compared to the camper that Megan said was literally parked in front of the steps. No, the Excursion is literally in front of the steps. As in, Tim did not want to waste any extra steps getting in or out of the house once he got out of that Excursion. And I'm like, okay, talk about trying to save some steps. Talk about being lazy. Or in his case, I guess he's conserving energy. He shares with us the fact that he's been editing videos, 2 or 3 videos or what have you. And I'm like, okay, now, you ready, Tim Writers? Okay, he's been slowly but surely revealing to you guys what the priority is around that IAG. Okay, and so you have to cover your ears. In order to not notice, you would have to cover your ears at this point. Okay, he's indicated to you guys a number of times, but more and more lately, that his priority is the YouTube. His priority is the videos, the editing. His priority is not on any type of farming. It's certainly not on any type of ministry work. Okay, but we also noticed that maybe he pulled that Excursion so close to the steps so that he could avoid stepping in the puddle. There's a big old puddle in front of the stairs. And I'm like, okay, with all of this equipment that my coach has, okay, with all this equipment, that you trying to tell me that he could not pitch that area in front of the stairs so that water would not collect? The boys have to walk down to a puddle. Megan has to walk down to a puddle. They have to either step in the puddle or avoid the puddle, okay, at the end of the stairs. And this is an effective farmer. This is an effective handyman. Okay, with that bad boy tractor, he could not have dumped some dirt, some soil there, put down some grass seed, etc. in order to pitch. All right. What do you have for us today, Coach? What do you have for us?
Going on, IAG family. It's another beautiful day on IAG Farms. It's actually a rainy day today, and I'm getting kind of a late start. I've been editing early this morning. Got 2 videos edited. One, a sneaker poo. As y'all know, we've been putting out sneak peeks to our videos, and y'all have been loving them so far. Like I said, because we're feeding off of you all's energy, and we thank you for that energy to be able to produce that extra bonus footage at no charge. We don't do channel memberships and all those things. Nothing wrong with that, but we just don't do it. But yeah, and I also got a full length video for tomorrow ready to post as well. So I've been working on that today. Also I was talking to my our excavation contractor, and we're working on getting some finalizations to our driveway project. We actually I gotta say this for another video.
All right, Tim talks about how all of your prayers have been answered. And he talked about how, I guess at the end of that excavator video where he had the driveway contractor, and I guess he requested that you ready Tim Writers pray that they can find some dirt. I'm like, okay, all right. And I guess, okay, if that was on your list of priorities for prayers that are needed around IAG, okay, how many of you guys prayed that they find some cheap dirt? How many? I have to know. I got to know. You got to tell me. Get in the comments. Let me know. How many of you guys prayed that they get dirt? Forget about praying for the boys. Forget about praying for little Benjamin. Forget about praying for Megan and her well-being. All right? Forget about praying for Grandma Lily. Okay? And forget about praying for Tim's well-being. And I'm talking about his mental well-being. We're not talking about his greed and his manipulation. Okay? We're not talking about his deceit, his deception. We're not talking about his wily ways, his cunning. We're not talking about praying that he gets over that spirit of cunning and deception. We're not talking about those prayers. Okay? But how many of you guys prayed for his mental well-being? Okay? He's leading us to believe that you guys prayed for dirt. Dirt was the priority over all those other things that they need prayer for. Now, Tim also implied, he said all of his neighbors in the area watch his channel. And I'm like, wait, coach, that's unnecessary. See, now some of these exaggerations, okay, and I like to call them exaggerations rather than call them lies, coach. Okay, but you make it hard on me. Even being the captain, you make it hard on me, coach. Okay, when I say you're telling these tall tales, you make it hard on me, coach, because you stretch them and then they snap. You stretch these truths and they snap. Okay, coach? You tell us all of the neighbors watch your videos, even the neighbors that you snitched upon, even the grumpy old neighbor that you talked about, the other neighbor that you snitched upon when they had the goat that was walking with a limp. Really? Even the neighbor that you dumped the trash, that you had cook and the boys dumped the trash on, those neighbors, they watch your channel also. Is that right? Okay. Even the neighbors that reportedly or supposedly called in about that pigsty and the upkeep or the lack of upkeep of that pigsty area. The neighbors that were concerned about the smell, the stench that was coming from your farm. Okay, and bear in mind a certain amount of odor and smell is expected from a farm. Okay, but when you exceed that because your pigs are wallowing around in 2 feet of poop for months upon months, okay, certainly some of those neighbors would complain. Okay, when they look around and see these trash heaps. Okay, and farms, no one expects a farm to be in pristine condition. But when they look at their farms that look like regular farms, and then they look at your farm, and your farm is looking like a junkyard, a bona fide trash heap, a bona fide dump site, a full-fledged pigsty. Okay? They couldn't help but complain. They couldn't help but speak up. But even those neighbors, they joyfully watch your channel, coach. All right, coach. I guess at this point you feel you can just tell us anything, coach. But anything?
But y'all's prayers were actually answered, because at the end of that driveway video, I asked y'all to pray that we would find some dirt and close, within 30 minutes. And we actually found dirt within 5 minutes, like a couple miles down the road. One of the neighbors, because all the neighbors in the area watch our channel, and one of the neighbors saw our video and was saying like, hey, I got some dirt y'all can use, y'all can get dirt off my property. And he's actually let people get dirt off their property before, and so it'll be an easy in and out. Our excavation contractor was trying to figure out, was he gonna have to clear some land or make a road to get to it, because all of that would make it more for us, because we gotta pay for all that. But it's already a road to it. It's already like been dirt dug from there before, so all he gotta do is just get in there, dig the dirt out, load it in the dump truck, and bring it here and drop it. So, but I'll take y'all down there. My plan is, once it dries up and everything.
Tim reintroduces most of you guys, and I guess introduces some of you new viewers to his shed shack that he calls Ernest. What his name is? Ernest. No, that's not the shack. The shed shack is not Ernest. The shed shack is Ernest, but it ain't what his name is. Oh, that's for the zero turn. Is that right? He's over there talking to the he's talking to the zero turn. Is that right? We know that the boys are not out there, so he's not talking to the boys. We know Megan is not out there with them, so he's not talking to Megan. So is he literally talking to the zero turn? we knew that Tim had no friends other than his equipment. Okay, and the structures around his barn, around his farm, I should say. But now he's resorted to talking to the equipment. So he pans over to the zero turn and he talks to the zero turn. He says, "What its name is?" And then when he realized that he's talking to no one, I guess he answers the question. He said, "Out." He answers the question for himself. Is that right? Is that? And you guys decide to pray that he gets more dirt, that he gets cheap dirt, rather than that he gets his mind right. Is that really what you Ready Tim followers? You Ready Tim riders, that's really what you guys prayed for? He's out there talking to equipment. Okay, on camera. And you praying that he gets some cheap dirt. Forget about the fact that he's spending 9, 10, 11, 12 grand on equipment. And you're praying that he's able to get some cheap dirt. According to this equipment that he's so proud of, okay, who cares whether he gets cheap dirt? If he can waste money on equipment, then he certainly can spend the money. He can afford to spend the money to get the dirt that's required. Okay, something that's quote unquote a necessity as far as building up that driveway to make it a functional driveway. Okay, and so certainly he can spend money on dirt if he can waste money on equipment. Okay, but he talks about how the fact that some people suggested that he put a fascia board up there in order to move closer to finishing off the shed. All right, and I guess he's going to take that suggestion. Okay, he talks about the fact that there's fascia needed on the opposite end or the other side of the shack as well. But he said, well, I'm not going to bother with that because no one can see that. And they're like, okay, coach, no one can see the front side either, coach. We talking about the YouTube world? So you're saying because the YouTube world never sees the other side, then it's insignificant. It's unimportant. Who are we really trying to impress? Is this YouTube stuff reality, coach? Considering that all of this IAG and resurrection camper or home-based, considering that all of this stuff is scripted, none of this is real. Okay, except for the miseducation of the boys and some of the deception that we see portrayed in front of the camera. None of this is real. Okay, but you're saying you're going to put the fascia up so it looks better on the YouTube? On the other side, you're not going to put up any fascia because nobody can see that? What about protecting your shed from the elements? What about that, coach? What about truly completing the shed? And now, once you get to the point where you've painted it, I know you're going to declare that it's finished once again. It's completed once again for the 4th or 5th time. And I'm like, okay, coach. Oh, my goodness, coach.
We're about to get back started on this thing right here. Look how amazing it looks. It doesn't even have paint on it yet, but it looks so beautiful and amazing. And this is old Ernest here. And if y'all haven't been around for a while, or maybe you forgot about this barn that I've been working on for over a year, but I haven't been working on it the whole time, on and off. I've been working on it, and we're about to get this thing finished off. Actually, one of you all suggested that I put up a fascia board up here, so I'm going to the lumber yard to get another piece of 1x10, and I'm gonna put up fascia across the front so that it kind of tie everything in. And I need a piece of fascia board on the back, but nobody can see that. As y'all see, his number Woods back there. What's up, Outlaw? What his name is? Outlaw. For real. Been cutting lots of grass around here. It's amazing. I love it.
Tim talks about how that zero turn was one of the best investments he ever made. Spending $9,000, whether it's sponsored or not, but committing $9,000, whether it's financed or not, committing $9,000 to a lawnmower. So that you could cut down your mowing time from 3 days down to, 3 hours? That's one of the best investments you ever made. Is that right? Do you understand the amount of special services that you could have purchased for those boys? Okay? Do you understand the number of private tutors? The amount of private tutoring hours you could have purchased for those boys? Do you understand? Do you understand the number of farmhands, true farmhands, that you could have paid to come and work on that farm rather than working Megan to the bone? Although lately some people are saying that she deserves what she gets at this point. Okay? If we set that aside, we set aside the fact that Megan has been complicit and it's becoming even more and more complicit. The more you push her out in front of the camera, the more it appears that Megan is complicit with these tales. She may be the mastermind of some of this stuff. And actually, you're pushing some of it off on her by claiming that Megan came up with this home-based business idea of this Resurrection this Resurrection Ranch camper nonsense. Okay, so you're pushing it on Megan. I'm not the one that's coming up with all these goofy ideas. Megan comes up with some of them also. Okay, Megan plays a role. She's an accomplice in all of this. But you're saying $9,000 for that mower is the greatest, or one of the greatest investments that you've ever made around that farm. And I'm like, oh, there it is right there. There it is in a nutshell. A man that puts more value on equipment and material items. Okay, the man that's all about hoarding even more material assets. There it is right there. One of the greatest investments of his life in that zero-turn mower. Oh my goodness.
But yes, I recommend that was one of the best investments I've ever made. This, I think we paid about $9,000 for this zero turn. One of the best investments ever. It takes my grass cutting time down from 3 days to down to like 4 hours. I can cut all the grass in one day. But also, while I'm at the lumber yard, I'm gonna get trim to go around this door. I'm gonna do the same type trim that you see here on the edge, those 1x4s, and I'm gonna put those around the door. I need to put another piece of trim on the edge here. And I also need to get a piece of siding. I got one more piece of siding I need to do. I'm gonna put that in and trim around the door, trim all the edges and everything, caulk all that up, and then we'll be ready to paint.
Tim talks about just needing one more piece of siding. And of course, all of the trim work. And then he'll be ready to paint. And I'm like, okay, coach, did you not notice the wood, the 2x4s or the 2x6s that are stacked, or you're using as a post, and you have that bucket hanging up? Did you forget about that bare wood that's going to still be exposed to the elements, coach? Did you forget about that? Shouldn't there be some type of siding, some type of weatherproofing on that wood as well, coach? But all right. I mean, those are the thoughts of a person that is not a carpenter. Okay. Those are the thoughts of a person that's has low level carpentry skills. Those are the thoughts of a person that's just trying to generate some content for the sake of the YouTube and not really trying to do anything significant around that farm. A person that's not truly trying to create a barn over there at the Ernest site. Okay. And so now, coach, we do understand why a couple of years ago, coach, you called it a barn because you had that camper pulled along the side. And so you could reasonably claim that the camper plus the shed combined represented a barn. But ever since you pulled that camper from the shed shack and took it and parked it at the other end of the property, the shed in itself is not a barn, coach. But okay. Tell us more, coach. Tell us more.
That'll be it. And actually, the siding has sat there so long that, not long, but it's only been about 2 months since I did it, and I've been recovering. I don't know if y'all understand like how hard I have to work to do a job like this by myself. You know what I'm saying? So after I do, y'all might think I'm moving slow, but it was only 2 months ago when I did this siding all by myself, completely by myself. You know what I'm saying? It's a job that really shouldn't be humanly possible. But, you know, I was able to do it. The Lord gave me the strength. And I took off a couple months from doing big projects, and I kind of just did little projects around the farm, you know, driveway work, cutting grass, you know, working with the animals and things like that. And I was letting my body recover. And so I listened to my body. So if my body is saying like my neck hurt, my back hurt, you know, I'm not ready, I listen to it and I take time off. But I'm still being productive, you know, using wisdom to like.
Tim, he tries to indicate to some of the newer viewers that he's only been working on that barn for a year now. And then he's a year or more. And of course, we longtime viewers, we know that it's been in excess of 2 years. In excess of 2 years that he's been working on it. But he said, well, I haven't been working on it steadily or consistently. And we already know that, coach. Of course we know that. Okay, we know that you're addicted to the process of starting projects, not the process of completion. Okay, you've already admitted that you're addicted to the process. All right, coach. But you talk about the fact that it's been a couple of months since you worked on the siding. And I'm like, oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness, coach. Even I lost track of that. And I'm the captain. Even I lost track of the fact that it's been a couple of months. And if you say it's been a couple of months, that means it's been 3 or 4 months. Because we know that you under exaggerate on certain things. You over exaggerate on others when you think it's going to benefit you. All right. You over exaggerate on things being beautiful and things being completed. Okay. And then you, of course, you under exaggerate when it comes to time. Okay. You under exaggerate when it comes to the amount of time that you've been piddling around with that barn or what have you. You underestimate the amount of time that you spent dragging out work out at Grandma Lily's Amazing Grace. You underestimate things of that fashion. You underestimate the amount of time that the boys are being dragged away from their homeschooling. And so we know you underestimate when it's convenient. You over exaggerate when it's convenient. Yes? Overestimate, over exaggerate, however you want to put it. But how about the truth, coach? The truth is a lot easier. You don't have to worry about exaggerations when it comes to the truth, coach. But 2 months, okay, that was 2 months, which means it was about 4 months ago, coach. And you talk about, well, I listened to my body and I did the work by myself. Okay, that was your choice to do it by yourself, coach. All right. When you talk about listening to your body, coach, well, good gracious, coach. If you were listening to your body would tell you that you're not getting enough exercise. Okay, you're not getting enough work in, coach. All right, that's just like you go to the gym, okay, and you do a couple of sit-ups, and your body starts to ache, and you listen to your body. My body said, and you say, "Oh, my body told me to stop doing the sit-ups." Or you start your push-ups. You do about 3 push-ups, 3 out of the 20 that you're supposed to do, and like, oh, my arms started to ache a little, my shoulders started to ache, and so my body told me to stop doing the push-ups. That's not how it goes, coach. That's not how it goes. All right? Your body was telling you that you need to exert yourself more, especially on a farm, coach. Okay? On a true farm, farmers do not avoid work. They do not avoid manual labor. Okay? They do not force their boys to do more manual labor. They definitely do not force their wives to do more manual labor than they do themselves. Okay, coach? But in your case, I guess you listen to your body. Forget about looking at Megan's body. Okay? Forget about looking at your boys and how they've struggled hauling that wagon full of hay. Forget about that, yes? Okay, but when it comes to your body, coach, you just listen. Huh? If your body even whispers to you like, ooh, it hurts. Oh, I got to strain. I got to strain just a little bit. When your body's like, you live. I'm shutting it down for 3, 4, 5 months. This season of working out, this season of doing actual work. Okay, I'm changing the season. I'm changing the season on this. I'm going back to editing my videos.
Which is painting our home, trimming it out, and building a porch on it, which I'm gonna do mostly by myself, and doing the roof over and everything on there, turning this single wide into a double wide. And somebody was asking why, because we talked about building a house. Let me walk forward a little bit. We've said it multiple times that we're leaving this section right here open because our plan is to build a house right here on down the line in probably 3 to 5 years. And we're saving to pay cash for that build. You know, whether we do a modular home, not a mobile, but a modular where they set it on a real foundation, or whether we stick build it or get it stick built by architect, contractor, whatever that is. We're still going back and forth on how we want to do it, but we'll know at that time. And somebody said, if y'all are going to move Emma to the new property that y'all bought and rent it out or sell it, why are you going to build this big old porch on the front? Well, the big porch on the front is going to make it possible for us to live here 3 to 5 years, maybe 3 to 7 years. Who knows? Because sometimes you set a goal and you go a little bit over it. So if we had to live here 6 more years, that building that porch is going to be highly beneficial for us.
Tim talks about, well, after they finish up the, the painting of the shed shack, they're going to transition over to working on Emma/Hema. I guess he puts up a little bullet and talks about the fact that although previously he had convinced Megan that he was going to merely slap paint onto the exterior of that sardine can of a single wide, he decided that they should try to actually put some siding up on it. He claims that it was Megan's idea. And I'm like, okay, well, we know Megan wanted something better in the past. You talked her out of it in the past, and now all of a sudden you're going to You're going to claim that, okay, Megan she just changed her own mind, and okay, she just recently thought that she wants siding. She didn't think that months ago or years ago. And so I'm sure with you painting the shed, I'm sure at some point with you sifting through the comments on these reaction channels, I'm sure at some point that it was utter foolishness for you to have a supposed barn that looks better than your house. Okay, come on now. Who has a barn? First of all, who paints their house to look like their barn? And then second of all, who has a barn that looks better than the house? Why would they have a modern looking barn / shack that looks better than their raggedy old, outdated old single wide? That's goofy, okay? Especially for the YouTube world, okay? And we know with you, image is everything, okay? And so it's goofy, all right? But you talk about the fact that, well, once you do build the porch, it's not going to just be used as an outdoor area for cookouts and whatnot. You talk about putting some couches out there and what have you. You talk about putting the homeschooling out there on the porch. It's going to expand the living area. You imply that the boys will not outgrow their current living space until Junior gets to be about 15 or 16. And they've already outgrown it, Coach. All right, they've already outgrown it. Nice try. All right, those boys need some extra bedrooms. All right, it would be nice to have some additional homeschooling space. Yes, that would be nice. And then you can convert that current homeschool classroom into an extra bedroom. Okay, but Junior, he's going to need his own space long before he gets to be 15. Okay, long before he gets to be 15, he's going to need a space. They're going to need some interior space to move around in, Coach. Okay, and so we do know that when you build up this porch, your first inclination is going to be to fill it up with trash. We know it's going to be cluttered. All right, and so we're going to have to see how that plays out. We're definitely going to have to see how it plays out. But it's nice to hear you admit to the fact that you're trying to create a double wide. Okay, for a long time it was just a porch. But I guess eventually you say, I'm really trying to create my own double wide. I realize these boys are jammed and cramped. Even Megan is jammed and cramped. She can't get away from her husband. All right. She used to take these 5-10 minute walks in order to escape. She can't even do that anymore. She can't get any personal time, any personal space to herself unless she's in the bathroom. And of course, the bathroom is attached to the bedroom. And we know who's lurking in the bedroom over there editing videos, lurking. But even Megan, she needs more personal space inside of her home. Okay, Coach? But thanks for the explanation. Thanks for the justification. I guess we can look forward to you putting some more modern siding up on that raggedy old single wide and trying to make it into a makeshift double wide. It will be an improvement, but I'm sure it's not the improvement that the boys are expecting. Certainly not the improvement that Megan is expecting. Especially as it relates to comparisons to the home or the house that you promised her years ago when you sold her that pipe dream, Coach.
Because it's going to double the square footage of our house. That porch is not going to just be a spot to sit outside, and barbecue. It's going to be expanded living area. Like, we're going to homeschool out there. We're going to have couches out there. We're going to have an outdoor kitchen out there. We're going to have a fireplace out there. We're going to, eat meals, have a dining room table out there. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to expand the square footage of our house. So by the time in 5 or 6 years, Tim Jr. is 9, so in 5 or 6 years, he'll be 15, 16, something like that, you know what I'm saying? And all of our boys, the older ones at least, will be like getting close to teenage years. And so we need to have that expanded living space. Otherwise, we're going to outgrow this mobile home, you know what I'm saying? Because there's plenty of room for us now when all the kids are small. But as they get bigger, the space feels a little bit small.
Tim talked about how some people ask, well, why are you going to build a porch onto this single wide? If you're probably going to ultimately move it over to another piece of property. And Tim, I guess he offers this goofy explanation of, he can't be paralyzed about the future. He can't be paralyzed right now for something that may or may not happen in the future. And I'm like, okay, Coach, I thought all this porch, didn't you just get done explaining to us why you were doing this double wide in preparation for the future for when the boys are 15 years old or what have you? And then you turn around and say, well, we can't be concerned about the future. All we can be concerned about is the now and let the Lord take care of the future. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good, except for the fact that you just got done talking about planning for the future, coach. I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take no more.
Like I say, we don't know. So we can't look at, to answer that question, why are we going to build a porch here when we're thinking about moving a mobile home in 3 to 5 years? We can't look at 6 years from now and make decisions today. You know what I'm saying? Or we can't be paralyzed today by what we plan on doing 6 years from now, because that might not ever come into fruition. Who knows? So we're going to maximize each and every day and worry about today and let the Lord take care of tomorrow. You know, let it be sufficient for itself. But on today's video, and I probably, because I'm headed now to get a pressure washer so that I can pressure wash the barn, because I also have to pressure wash the mobile home before we paint it. And also, as y'all know, Megan started.
Surely I can't take no more. That's it. That's it for my reaction to that recent IAG Farms video where Tim talks about finishing off the barn build. Please like, comment, subscribe, chop it up in the comments. Burner Tim, Heavies, I'll see you guys there. To my current subscribers, thank you for showing me that love. I do appreciate it. For those viewers that have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so that we can continue to shine that light. Until next time.